Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing okay and hear us fine. We are all happy to be with you. I have Alex with me. Chris is also joining us in a minute, so we would be total three today to help you with your AWS journey. We're pretty excited and we thank you all for joining. Probably for some of you, it is very odd time on the weekend, and we appreciate that you are here to be with us, and hopefully we would be giving you a better view. Hey Chris, how are you doing?
Hello, thanks.
Good.
Good.
Let's get started with this. Let me again welcome everyone, and hopefully everyone can see us. And you can chat with us. Chris and Alex would be moderating the chat. I would be presenting the content. I'll go through the agenda that what we are going to cover in this training and what we will be talking about. So please make it interactive. Please share your views. Let us know what you are liking, what you are not liking, and we would be happy to help you all, and that's what we want to do in this particular program. My name is Ashish, and I am followed with Alex and Chris, and they would be helping me today. We have more volunteers from AWS, and they would be joining in the next week's call because everyone is busy on Saturday, but hopefully you would have a good experience with this training. Now, I won't be on camera for very long because I want you to focus on the content. I just wanted to introduce us and our team, and I'll talk with Alex and Chris in the last 30 minutes, so just wait for it. Let me quickly go through what I plan to discuss today. So I'm going to show you the agenda for this particular day. What we will talk about some of the very basic stuff. We'll talk about what is the program all about, what cloud computing basics are, what is AWS cloud, what are the storage services in AWS, and we will also talk about Q&A with solution architects. So last 30 minutes I would ask Chris and Alex some probing question so that you would understand what is solution architect's role, what they do on day-to-day basis, what kind of challenges they face, what technical skills are required, because probably you all are here to become a solution architect or at least learn the skills which are required to become a solution architect. So I'll make it a question and answer session. I would act dumb for your behalf, on your behalf, and will ask some very basic question to Alex and Chris so that they can walk you through that how day-to-day journey looks like for a cloud architect and what they do and what kind of skills they need the best, right? So that's what the agenda looks like. Now, I don't want to rush anything. If we get a lot of question, probably I will cut down on the storage services part and we will cover it in the next section. That's fine. But we want you to be interactive, ask questions, and we will try our best to answer as much as we can. Now, in the training, if you feel there was some moment which you find, oh, this was very interesting, feel free to take screenshot of it and maybe share it on your social media, put it on LinkedIn, tag us if you want to, so that more people would be aware about this program and everyone can get benefited from it. So don't be afraid on that. All the content we would share. So we are building up a resource page. All the slide which I am going to present you today, it would be available to you in a PDF format, so you can use it as a reference. We would be also sharing some additional link and resources so you can enhance your AWS skills, right? So hopefully you would enjoy. Let's move forward and let's talk about what all these things are. I'll put full screen view for the content so that you can focus more on it instead of focusing on the camera part. All right, so let's get started here. Now, idea is that how we will be running this program. So let me quickly talk about what the program is and how it would be running for all of you. So I'm talking about that. Do we need active AWS account? We will talk about that beneath. Don't worry, we will talk about it. Not for today. For practicing, you would need it, but not for today's session. You do not need an account. You just be available on just for the session, and later I'll talk about how to practice if you want to, but not mandatory. Okay, so what is BeSA program? Probably you have already seen the website we have provided, and that contains lots of detail about the program itself. And there is a FAQ page also, so that you can know about that what and why we are running this program, what this program is, and what it is not. So we have intentionally put this information into website, It is the website here. Probably you already have link to that. And if you check the FAQ page, you would find lots of additional information to understand what this program is, what kind of time commitment you may need, what kind of resources you may need. So we tried to list as many questions as we could think of. But if you have more question, and if we feel that most of the people would have this question, we would be able to add more questions here. So this is one page. Then there is a link called additional resources. And what we will do in this link, we would publish all the weekly resources. So currently, after this session, maybe by evening, our time, we would paste the link of all the resources which I'm going to discuss, plus the content I am going to share here. So this can be a good page to bookmark where you will find all these resources, right? So don't worry, you will get all the resources which we are going to talk about. Now, who is running this program? So we have a core team which is made up of Alex, me, Chris, Jamila, and Prasad. And Prasad and Jamila would be joining us in the next session. Prasad is traveling today. Jamila is busy with something. And then we have other Amazonians who are also helping us in running this program, Andy and James. So they would also be joining in the subsequent session. So these are the people whom you can reach out if you have any question. We are active on LinkedIn, so feel free to get in touch there. No problem at all. Now, you may be thinking, hey, why somebody is wasting their time or investing their time? I would put it like that on Saturdays and helping us. Is there a hidden agenda behind it? Are they doing marketing for something? I would say probably not. We are not interested in that. We have more avenues to do marketing for AWS, not by this channel. So, here the idea is purely that we all are passionate about helping people and then giving back to community, because obviously we all learn from maybe watching a YouTube video which somebody made, or maybe by reading a blog post article which somebody has written. So we are all getting enriched by different aspect, and we just want to contribute to community, and we are passionate about helping people in building the career into cloud. So that is the main agenda. No hidden agenda, no marketing, nothing we want to achieve from this particular session apart from sharing knowledge. So that's what our intention is. Now, when this will be happening, this will happen every Saturday, 8 a.m. CEST. Then you can convert it into your time zone. I have put a GMT timing also. So 8 a.m. GMT, and you can then get your information by which you can uh, join this particular program. We would record it. So you should be able to get this information in a recorded format. Should not be a problem at all for it. These are some places where you would have interaction. So live session would be held on Twitch. Then we would have recorded session hosted on YouTube, which we will share links. Already you have the link. We will post the video by afternoon today. Then BeSA website would have all the resources. And if we have to make any communication with you, that time we would be using the LinkedIn group. So that's what we will be utilizing for this. Now, what this program is made up of, there are two stages here. One stage is a technical track. Technical track is open for everyone. Anyone can join, no problem at all. And like you are here, you all are entitled for technical track, which will be lasting for 8 weeks, which is around 2 months, right? Now, then we will filter out some people based on the skills they have, based on the motivation they have, based on the other factors which we consider can be good. Then that would be for 20 people who would be into one-to-one mentoring. And that is where we will be going one-to-one session with you, helping you with interview preparation, helping you with the common skills required, helping you and guiding you in one-to-one session. So that's what we are looking for. So currently we plan to intake 20. If we get more people inside Amazon helping us, we may increase that number, but currently we would restrict it to 20 because we all have limited time and we already doing this on weekend, and we want to ensure that we also make a perfect balance between our family commitments as well as our professional life. So this is the plan as of now, but let's see, if we get more help from internal people, we may expand it, but as of now, we would select 20 people to go into stage 2. So you may have a question, what if I do not get selected? Don't worry. Stage 1 is open for everyone. Maybe in next stage, next cycle of the program, you can join again and can get qualified for stage 2. But if you are just here for learning, stage 1 should be sufficient enough. We will try to take as much as we can in stage 2, but this is the plan as of now. Now, how much would be the cost? Answer is there is no cost for this particular program. You are not going to pay anything. We may recommend you to create a AWS account, which is free, and you have to manage the cost on your own, because if you let your resources running, then you may pay extra money in that case. So make sure if you are using a AWS account for practicing, you take care of its budgeting, you take care of its availability, and take care of the resources which are running. And that would be, we will guide you, but that is still your account. It's not we can help you anything if there is a higher cost in that account, but we will guide you on how to keep the cost low. So that's all about this particular program as of now. How to go to stage two, we will talk about that, Manish, as we reach to that point. So don't worry, we will be talking about the places, or we will be giving you some activities to perform. We will be giving you some videos to watch, and we, based on that, we may pick up people for stage number two, right? So don't worry, just pay full attention, just do what we are asking you, and probably you will end up there. Now, I can expect that there are a lot of people who are from different background here. Now, we can't design a program which can cater to everyone's needs. Some may be mid-career, some may be starting in the cloud journey, some may be already a solution architect and they want to now upskill on AWS. So we can't create a single program which can cater to everyone's need. So for this particular program, we are focusing on IT professional who wants to become solution architect, right? Obviously, skill for cloud is very important, and we would be using that. But idea here is that it is for people who are starting with their solution architect journey, or who are starting with AWS journey. They would get most benefited from it. That's the main idea we are looking for, right? So that's what my intended target audience are. Okay. Now, some disclaimer so that there is a clear picture and clear understanding of the program. This is not a job guarantee program. So we are not promising that, hey, we will get you all job into AWS. That's not the program is. This is not a job guarantee program, right? What we can help you in, we can help you in getting your CV in the system. So if you find there is a suitable job in Amazon career website, and you find that yes, I am well suited candidate for it, my skills are 70-80% matching, reach out to us. Don't apply directly, because if you apply directly, then we cannot push your resume within the system. So if you feel there is a job you are perfectly aligned, and you think it will be, you will be good at that job, and you have all the skills required, reach out to us and we can submit your resume. And if we know the hiring manager, we can put a word against your profile. But it's not guaranteed that you would get a call. We get a lot of people applying for the job, so system selects and there are a lot of filtering happens. But we are happy to refer you. But if you do it directly, then we cannot re-refer you, we cannot submit your resumes again. So if you feel and find a job which is very, very lucrative, very interesting to you, and you have skills, let us know and we can help you in getting your CV inside the system. No problem at all on that. So that's what we can help you in. Right. Another thing, this is not a official AWS program. No, this is not official program, right? So we are running in our personal capacity. What we are sharing here are our own views. So views shared here are our own. They are not representing our employer. And let's say in case there is some conflicting information, like you feel that Ashish said something or Alex said something and it is different on the website, we would say that anytime you feel a conflicting information is there, always refer to the official AWS documentation, because it is most up to date, most accurate. So this should be your source of truth in case you want to get some additional information. Another thing, we are running this program on the best effort basis. Now, we want to help you, but if somebody comes in and say, hey, Ashish, these are the code of the line which I want to run and it's not running, can you help me? I will try, but can I guarantee you that within a time frame I would respond to you, or any one of us would be responding to you? Probably not, because we all have our own commitment. We will try our best, but do not be pushy. Let not make it like it's a duty for us. We are trying voluntarily. We would be happy to help, but we cannot be accountable for something. This is running on a best effort basis. So that is just the basics of what this program is all about. Anyone, any questions so far? Anything which is not here? Worldwide or UK, we would be happy to refer you anywhere. No problem at all in SEF. So SEF, if you feel there is a position for you very well anywhere, we would be happy to help you. No problem at all on that. So no issues. We won't be able to have any problem. We can refer you anywhere. Would there be some assignment? Yes, there would be, Abhay. We would be sharing some assignment as we move forward. So wait for it. I'll share you some links. So we would help you. Manish, no problem at all. See, if you find there is a referral position available, a position available on Amazon, we would be helping you in that. No issues at all on that. It could be worldwide job, no issues. If we know people around those HR function, we would be happy to put your resume. We can always submit resume for any job open in Amazon worldwide. But if we know those hiring manager personally, and if we know your skills are aligned, we would obviously be happy to help. No issues at all on that. When will be the recording ready? Probably in an hour's time. We will be having an hour's time and will the recording be ready? Does the technical material align with any of the certs? Yes, NISM, it aligns to Solution Architect Associate cert. I'll talk about that. So first few sections would be very basic, which aligns to every certification, and then I'll get more into technical certification, which is Solution Architect Associate. So yes, we will be talking about it. So if you have any question during assignment, you can put that question, Abhijit, into LinkedIn group. We are monitoring that LinkedIn group. You can reach out to directly to us. There is a BeSA group email address which you can reach out to. Should not be a problem. Would you coach us on interview processes and tips? Answer is yes, Arun. We would be doing it, but that is for stage two. So if you are on stage two, then obviously we would be having one-to-one call, preparing you through interview processes, what kind of answers to give, what not to do. So yes, we will go with that. Right. Will there be any guidance provided to improve your resume as well? I'm not a resume expert, Salra, so I won't say that I would be an expert on that area, but we can try, but not 100% on. Is SA Pro also covered? Abhay, answer for that is no, not right now. We are focusing on associate level certification, and maybe in future we would have SA Pro also covered. But this one, as I said, this is intended for early career starters. It is not for person who are already inside it. I have 8-year experience in UK though, currently moved back to India. Thank you for confirming job referral worldwide. Yes, we would be happy to help that. No issues at all on that. All right. So let's get started. And I'll now move towards what we talk about. Uh, uh, we need mail for your. So I would say that Par Mehta, please connect on LinkedIn, and you can connect through LinkedIn. My email address is also on LinkedIn, so LinkedIn would be a better platform instead of I vending out my email address and we vending out email address directly. So connect on LinkedIn, Parna. No issues at all. We will be able to help you there. Can you please share syllabus that will be covered in stage one? Yes, Gautam, we are working on it. So probably this weekend we would post it onto the BeSA website. So that should not be a problem. But just wait because we are finalizing like how we want to divide the technical content, which session to cover, and how to also incorporate some behavioral concepts. So wait for this weekend, and you would have a session schedule and detailed content posted on our BeSA website. No problem at all on that. Okay. Will we go about beyond certificate content as well? See, we are not focusing only on answering question here. So what we are focusing on, learning the skill, technical skills, right? And that technical skills can be in any area, right? So storage, compute, networking, these are very basic thing which everyone needs. How deep you want to go inside, we would be able to share some more content. So maybe we will share, let's say, a storage training which is for 11 hours, and I want to be expert on storage. I can go for that free 11-hour training if the need be. So that should not be a problem, right? So hopefully everyone is clear. Keep your questions coming. Alex and Chris are there to help and answer those questions for you. So let's get started with the basic concept of what cloud computing is, right? Real-time scenario apart from syllabus, three-tier architecture and real-time migration challenges. Debashish, we can try. Not 100% sure. As I'm saying, it is not a very specific catering to individuals' need. But if you have a specific situation where you think we can help us, we can help you, feel free to reach out. No problem at all on that. Can we post SSA related content to linked BESA group? I would say that not everyone would be interested, but if you feel it's a very generic, which applies to everyone, because not everyone may have an intention to appear into exam, right? So that's what I'm saying. If you feel this is a very generic concept, helps everyone, you learned a lot, why not? We don't want to restrict people from posting, but don't make it like personal things there or not like political messages and all the stuff. But if you feel this is some content can benefit people, go ahead, do that. No issues at all on that. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for the questions. Let me get started here and we will then talk about what is cloud computing. So I'm going through talk about what is cloud computing, a very basic thing, and then we will keep on moving forward and discuss more interesting stuff. Give me a minute. I'll come back to this. Yeah. Yeah, I clicked the wrong button. Give me a minute. I'm fixing it. Yeah. So I'm back. What is cloud computing? Let's fix that. Let's talk about what cloud computing is. Okay. Now, hopefully you all can see a picture right now on your stream. This picture looks like a very, very old picture based on the graphic which you are seeing here. Looks like it's a very old picture. And if you look little closely, looks like it is a very big machine and you can clearly see a person working there. Right. So if you see this, there is a person working and that person may be looking very tiny in front of this particular machine. Now my question to you is, can anyone guess what this picture is all about? What is displayed into picture? Anyone, any guess what is in this picture, what we are trying to depict? Storage, Subhash, not storage. Yeah, that's a data center. Vineet, if it was, it would be very old data center, isn't it? Because it's very, very old. I would explain what this is. This one is a turbine. Now, why I am talking about turbine? Exactly, it is a power generator. This is what used to happen 100 years back when somebody needed electricity. So 100 years ago, when a company or a town or a household needed electricity, what they have to do, they have to build these type of big, big power station. Currently, we do not think about it. We have come a long way in terms of how electricity is produced, but this is just the story 100 years ago that people have to have these kind of build and maintain the power station if you want to have uh, electricity supply at your home. So obviously, when you are talking about building this big machines, then there are some challenges there, right? What challenges I would have if I want to build these big machines? First challenge I would face that I have to have huge amount of money in my pocket. I have to have lot of money spent to build these services on the very first place. That is the first problem I have to face. Even if I am able to spend that much of money, second issue I have is I have to do lot of ongoing maintenance on it. Means I have to keep on paying lot of money to keep it running, keep it working, ensure that there is a oil and machines working fine, manpower needed, maintenance needed. So lots and lots of challenges there. This is what was there when people wanted to have electricity. Now, if I want talk about today, we do not worry about all these stuff. In today's case, my electricity consumption is much, much easier. I can get started much easier. What we do, we just press a button. Now this press of button could be for just lighting a small bulb for you, right? So that could be one option. Or the button could be pressed to power the whole industry where you are manufacturing something, no problem at all. Or this button could be pressed for powering the whole city. It doesn't matter. We are able to have a different aspect of electricity, and maybe with just the press of a button we can get electricity for city or for a industry or for just household. And the good part about it that we only pay for what we use. This is what we call or refer as something called utility pricing. So what is utility pricing? Utility pricing is that I am paying only for what I am actually using. I am never paying for extra money at all. That's what we mean by utility pricing. And the same concept applies in cloud. Now you may be thinking that how the same concept applies to cloud. Let me explain it. What happens in electricity? Let's compare. So first thing is right now some companies are generating electricity, right? They may be generating this electricity probably by hydropower, maybe coal power, like countries have coal power plant, some may have nuclear power plant, and that's or biofuel or solar system, whatever. They are generating electricity. And once this electricity is generated, this may be happening very far from the city, like you cannot build a dam within a city, it would be very far from the city. And once this is done, you would need some distribution mechanism. And through this distribution mechanism, like grid and electric wire and all this stuff, you are able to move your electricity up to the consumer. That's what is happening here, right? So you have generation happening, you have a distribution mechanism, and that distribution mechanism is allowing you to consume your services. That is where consumers are, right? So what is this relating to cloud? Let me explain. So cloud is also similar in the sense that a cloud provider has created resources for you. These resources are in form of a load balancer, maybe a virtual server, maybe a physical server, maybe a storage system, maybe a firewall solution. So there is a cloud provider who is creating these resources for you. They exist in cloud provider infrastructure, right? What happens now that you would need a distribution mechanism, and for that, the distribution mechanism we have is our internet, right? So we can have identity which is coming up from here, and internet is allowing us to have all these data coming into my environment, no problem at all. Internet is present everywhere. So if I can get connected to internet, I should be able to access my services. And that's how this comes to my user. So pretty simple example. Somebody is producing the resources, you are consuming it over the internet, and that's exactly what is happening with the cloud provider. They are not going to do very complicated stuff, but this stuff is helping you to get the services running in your environment. That's the main advantage of a cloud provider, right? Let's move forward now. So how AWS came into picture? So AWS is a cloud platform. It is one of the leading cloud provider for the world. This was made available publicly from 2006. So let me differentiate here. Most of you have heard about Amazon. So Amazon is, yes, there is a company called Amazon who is into online making, selling and all the stuff what you buy a lot of stuff from. And Amazon's has a branch which is what AWS is. AWS is providing resources to Amazon also. So when you are buying something on amazon.co.uk or amazon.com or amazon.in, that is running on AWS infrastructure. So what we are doing here, we are providing services to Amazon, and we made this platform also available to public in 2006. And from that point, we are adding more and more services to our application. And what we have a global presence. We'll talk more on that. Currently, we offer 200 plus services to get started from, and we will discuss some of the services. And the biggest advantage is that it is all a utility based pricing. What I mean by that? You do not have to make upfront investment. You do not have to buy server or buy storage or buy load balancer. You just use it and pay only for what you actually use. You use it for 10 minutes, pay only for 10 minutes. Exactly, pay as you go. So everything is pay as you go. You do not have upfront payment to do. And there are some advantages in that. We'll talk about that. And good part that even to get started, you do not need to shell out money. We have free tier to get started. So if you are feeling that I want to practice something, I want to learn a little bit about it, I can go ahead and start with free tier. So free tier is with to get started, and I'll talk more about it, how to use that free tier. So this is what AWS is. AWS is a cloud platform which offers lots of services all over the globe, and you can get started with it, no problem at all on that. So you may be thinking that, okay, why companies are interested in using cloud? So let me try to explain it, that what is the biggest advantage we are trying to achieve from it. So 6 advantages of cloud computing. Let me talk about them one by one, like what benefit I am getting. Now for some of you it would be very basic, but I want to ensure that everyone is at the same level before I dive deep into the more technical concept. So bear with me till I explain basic concept, and then we will go into detail of technical realities. So don't worry on that. So first benefit we have, that we do not have to, sorry, worry about capital expenses. Now this word you would hear a lot whenever a marketing person is talking to you. They would always say, hey, you do not have to worry about your capex. What you have to worry about, you have to worry only about your opex. Capital expenditure is which you invest to get things started. Upfront cost, exactly, Vishal, that's exactly what it is called. So capital expense is your upfront cost. You do not have to worry about it. You just need a credit card to get started. That's all you need, and you do not have to keep those resources running. If you are done with that, you can remove it. You only focus on variable expenses. It's same like electricity. Like, I'm based in London, and when there is a winter, my electricity bill is higher because I'm using electricity to heat up my household or to have a temperature maintained. In summer, my electricity bill would be lesser. Why? Because I am not having that much of electricity usage. So that's all what we mean by variable expenses, which I am paying for. So that's the main advantage. Second advantage which you get because of cloud is benefit from massive economy of scale. So what is this massive economy of scale? Let me try to explain it. If I remember correctly, from the day AWS started, we have lowered our price 120 plus times. Price lower mean, think about any service. If you are using internet, or if you are using house, or if you are using petrol or whatever commodity, prices are always going up. What we are able to do because of economy of scale, we are able to keep our prices low. So let me give you an example of how economy of scale helps our customer. Let me try to explain that concept to you. So what we do, we try to reduce the prices. We reduce the prices, and how it happens, let me explain the logic behind it. If we have reduced prices, that would mean more customers would be interested to join our services, right? And if we have more customers joining our services, that would also mean that we have more AWS usage. Means a lot of people are interested to use AWS because the prices are much cheaper. Another benefit we have, that if we have more AWS usage, that would mean we as a company, AWS, have to have more infrastructure. We need to buy more server, we need to buy more storage, we need to have more network bandwidth, we need to hire more people. So that will always increase. Now, what will happen in this case? If, let's take an example, if you as a company or individual are going to buy, let's say I have a requirement and I want to buy 100 servers. Just give me an example. So if I'm looking to buy 100 servers, I can go to vendors like Dell, IBM, HP and say, hey, give me a better price because I am buying 100 servers from you. So they would give you some discount because of the quantity you are buying, right? Consider the scale of AWS. In AWS, the scale is very high. AWS may be looking to buy 10,000 servers. And when they are buying 10,000 servers, that would mean that we are able to negotiate a better price from the distributors. It is price distribution in terms of server, storage, maybe in terms of real estate where our data center would be running. Maybe in we can have our own electricity plant. Maybe we can have our own internet service cables. So that would obviously have a better benefit for us. So that would mean that if we have a lot of infrastructure requirement, we can scale it economically, we can negotiate better contract, we can get our servers ready on ourselves, and that's how we can get benefited. One example I will give you, that in early days we had AM Intel based processors only. When we started offering services, only Intel based processors in our server. Now we offer AMD based processors also. So customer may say, hey, I am not looking for Intel, which is little costly for me. I would go for AMD because it is little cheaper for me. So that's fine. We didn't stop there. What we did, we came up with our own processor that is called Graviton. Check for this processor. This is Amazon's own microprocessor, and this is much cheaper to run based on Intel and AMD cost. So we invented on behalf of customer, and that's how we are able to keep the prices low. So obviously customer has a choice to use Intel or AMD or Graviton, and if we are producing our own processors, we are able to keep the prices as low as possible, and we've transferred that benefit to customer. We are not trying to grab on that benefit, so that benefit will be further transferred to customer, which means I have lower infrastructure cost. That means more less prices, more people would be interested, and that would again help us to keep the cost low. So it is like a cycle, which we mean by economies of scale, right? Hope everyone is getting the idea and understanding how it works. Savings plan and all, we will talk about that, Vivek, when we talk about EC2. So we'll talk about it. We will discuss that. Yeah, T3A instances, which help you to save cost. Exactly. So yes, there are a lot of benefits which are coming from it. Good. All right. Uh, Now, Why companies are using cloud computing? So benefit from massive economy of scale. What else? Another thing is you have to stop, not worry about capacity. Let me give an example. Let's say you decided that I want to host a new application for my company, and I'm expecting 100 users would be using that application, and for accommodating 100 users I would be needing two servers. So I have server 1 and server 2 which I would be needing. All right, I paid money, I got my server, and now it is running. I am expecting 100 user to join, but it may happen that maybe my application was not very popular and only 10 users are using it, which means I have wasted resources for 90 user. Now I can't return these servers back because I already paid money for that. They are running, they are in my data center, they are eating up electricity, they are requiring cooling, they require maintenance, we have to pay for maintenance cost on that, and my utilization is only 10 user. So this time what would happen? Your CFO would be unhappy. Why? Because we thought by running this application, more user will get benefited. We may get some revenue, but it didn't happen because this application was not popular at all. So what can be done in that case? That is one situation. Another is, let's say your application become too popular. Instead of 100 user, you have 1,000 users who are interested into using your application. But challenge would be your physical infrastructure is capable enough only to accommodate 100 user. So till 100 user, performance would be good, but as your users would grow, then your performance will be becoming slower and slower, and this time the unhappy phase would be for your customers because they are not getting the performance which they were expecting. So challenge here is I have to be very accurate in what I plan to build and how many users would be there. So that is very complicated. You may make mistakes, you may have problems, and that's we don't want. And that's why cloud gives you a benefit that you do not have to worry about capacity. You can add capacity whenever you need, you can remove capacity, and this all is possible through auto scaling. Exactly, Vivek. So we can use auto scaling and it would help you in getting your application, adding more resources or removing more resources anytime you need it, and you do not have to manually do it. It can all be automated, and we'll talk about that, right? So that is some of the benefit which we get because of this. What else? What other benefits we get? Other benefit that increase speed and agility. So you may have a bright idea Sunday morning, and Monday morning you can start experimenting on that. You do not have to worry about getting your resources and getting the services running. Everything is available. Go and get it. That's all you need. So increase speed and agility. Companies can do more experimentation. Companies can have more POCs running, proof of concepts running, and more people can do experimentation without having lot of cost of failure. So that is another benefit what is giving cloud is giving to you. Next one is focus on what matters. Let's say I am a finance company or a finance professional. So my application which I build is giving best financial prediction, right? But I am not good at maintaining servers and all the stuff. So what would happen in that particular case that I won't be worrying about maintaining my application, maintaining my services or running my servers. I focus on what matters to me. So if I'm a developer, let me focus on writing my code. If I am a QA, let me focus on finding more bug rather than installing server, rather than installing configuration and all the stuff. So that is the biggest advantage. It allows you to focus on what matters most to your business. We could utilize that. Another one is go global in minutes. Maybe your business currently is running only in Europe. You have plans to expand it into US, you have plans to expand it into Asia, and you want to host your applications there. So you do not need to go and rent some data center or rent some server and then have manpower hired who would maintain it. You don't have to worry about all these things. We have infrastructure available at all the places, and you can get started from there. Should not be a problem at all. So you can go global in minutes if you require. So that is much easier if we need that, right? So these are some of the benefit which you would be getting because of cloud computing, right? So how these AWS services are stacked, let me talk about it. So at the very bottom of all the service offering, we have something called global infrastructure. So all these data center and the physical resources are grouped together. We call it global infrastructure. I'll go in detail about it. What is the region, availability zone, and edge location? We'll discuss them. Now, once we have laid out the physical foundation, what would be the next thing to do? Next thing would be to add foundation services on top of it, like basic building block, like compute, networking, and storage. Any application you build, any resource you create, probably they would all be needing compute, networking, and storage. So we would be adding these foundation services for our application, right? And once this foundation is ready, on top of it, I can then further add platform services. Like, I am looking for a database. Hey, I want to do analytics, I want to run an application, I want to deploy a new application. So that all would be happening through your platform services. So this is how we would be able to get benefited. So we will first focus on global infrastructure, then we'll talk about foundation services, and we will then talk about platform services. Let's get started with talking about what global infrastructure is and how we provide resources all over the world and how you can get started using it. So we are focusing now on global infrastructure. Okay. Now, what we see here is a picture of global infrastructure of AWS. And if you see at the bottom, I'm sharing a link, and you can also open that link into a browser. I'll put it into chat if you want to see it. So this is where you should be able to get all the all the global infrastructure detail. Right. So hopefully everyone is able to see the link which I just shared. What this global infrastructure is made up of? It is made up of multiple components inside. I'll talk about them one by one. So this is the most secure, extensive, and reliable global cloud infrastructure for all your application, and all over the world. We have services available. You can get started wherever you want to. So this is what our global infrastructure is made up of. 26 regions, 84 availability zone, 17 local zone, then we have 310 point of presence, and all over the world we have our resources available. These blue dots, what you see, are regions where services are available, and this orange dots where services would be coming up soon. That's all we can see here. This is what we are going to see here. Right. So let's see what is going to happen here. Right. We will talk more on that, how this graviton and how all these services are running. So what is the basic building block for this global infrastructure? So basic building block for the global infrastructure is a data center. AWS is running data center all over the world, but they are not publicly visible. What I mean by not publicly visible, you will never find a building which says, hey, this is AWS data center number 15. No, we do not make a public appearance for our data center. We keep them hidden in plain sight. There would be no marking, there would be no notification that this is the building where a data center is running. And what we do in in this data center, we have around one data center is made up of around 50 to 80,000 servers and required component. Obviously, my servers would require storage, my servers would require networking, my servers would require something else. So these all things are hosted within my data center. That's what we are seeing here. So this data center would be made up of around 50 to 80,000 server and any required component on it. Now, along with this, what is going to happen? Along with this, we would be not relying on one data center only. Because if it's one building, and if let's say there is a flood, let's say if there is some issue, let's say there is a problem in connectivity, so we would lose connection and we would lose our application. So what we do, we combine one or more data center and then we make it a availability zone. So idea of a availability zone is that multiple data center put together is what we call a availability zone. So one data center giving me around 50k to 80k server. We need more capacity, we will add one other data center which will have again 50k to 80k server, and we can keep on adding these data center. As a customer, you do not see these data centers. What you see as a customer, you see availability zone, or in short form we call it AZ. So all over the world, we have AZs, and these AZs would help you to keep your services running. Sometime even you do not want to go inside AZ or maybe see this AZ into console, you may get started directly by selecting a region. So that is possible. So we may have a AZ which is made up of multiple data center, but what if the one AZ also fails? Virtual server or physical, Sensua, it is physical servers and it's infrastructure. So physical is what we are hosting there, and obviously they can run more virtual machines on top of it. So 50K to 80K is a physical server we are focusing there. Right now, what else? Once we have this servers ready, the next thing we do, that on these availability zones we have this architecture. If you see within one region, so let's say I say London is a region for AWS. So what would happen in London? There would be a availability zone A, there would be availability zone B, there would be availability zone C, and these availability zone would have their own data center within them. What you see is, you see maybe London as what we call a region, and then you may see availability zones depending on the services, but you never happen to see the data center. Even being an employee, I haven't visited data center anytime. I don't think I would ever visit it, because it is not a public place where everyone can go and watch what is happening. It is only for people who actually work or who need access, but it is not for everyone to go and check in there. So that's what would be a region made up of. So region is made up of multiple availability zones, and these availability zones would be combined together into an entity. That's what we call a region, right? And if you see this blue and green lines here, what you can see that these are the network. We always have redundant network. And when these availability zones are created, it is ensured that they are miles apart. If there is a flood, if there is a power outage, if there is a tornado, or if there is a earthquake, it won't be affected. So we keep them as separate as possible, but within one geography. So when I say I have a region into Ireland, that would mean all these availabilities on a data center are within the geographical limit of Ireland. They are not beyond it. When I say that we have a availability zone into Mumbai, then the data center and all the resources are somewhere near to Mumbai, but where exactly, we do not publish that information publicly, because customers are not interested in that. Customers are interested in getting their services running, and we create a redundant architecture ensuring that our services keep on functioning. So our availability zones are made up of multiple data centers, and then they are miles apart. There is a distance between these locations, and through this, we are able to keep our services running, and they all have redundant network connectivity, as we see here, ensuring that we can always provide connectivity. Right. And we publish this information on a health dashboard. I'll talk more about it when we reach to that point. So that's what a region is. So the take away from this discussion is that what a AZ is, availability zone, AZ is make up of what we call data center. So AZ equal to multiple data centers. I can't type and speak at the same time, so forgive my typing mistake. And then what is a region? Region is group of AZs. What you will find that mostly we have three or more AZs. Why three or more? Again, the idea is redundancy. Even if one of them fails, you can still keep on functioning from other available services. So we ensure that we give you highest uptime as much as possible by creating redundancy at the very plain location, right? So hopefully everyone is clear. Let's keep moving forward. So this is what a region is. Now, what you see here in the picture, this is little old one. And here we are representing where the regions are. So if you see these orange dots, I'm saying it again, this is old. Some of them are already live, like Cape Town has already been live. Here it is showing that coming up, but these are representing the regions all over the world. And if you see all over the world, the region exists, and the number here, so if this says Oregon says 4, that means there are 4 availability zones there. When say Bahrain has three, means there are three availability zone. Mumbai, three availability zone. So that's what our automated way of providing infrastructure to you. Now we don't stop there. So these are the hub where a lot of traffic would be coming in. But we also want to deliver better performance to customers. And for that, we have another option, which is called edge locations, right? Let me give a very basic example. Now, probably in your cities, you would have, I live in London, and we have a market, supermarket, let's say called Tesco. Like in maybe other cities it's Carrefour, maybe in other countries it would be different name, but there is a, maybe in UK there is a series market called Tesco. Tesco has two type of store. Tesco has something called Tesco Superstore, and another one is called Tesco Corner Shop. Now, Superstore is a bigger type store where we have everything available. You want dog food, you want to buy a fridge, a washing machine, clothes, computer, laptop, everything is available into a superstore. But in a corner store, only what you get groceries, not something else. Corner stores are many. All over London, all over UK, there are hundreds and hundreds of Tesco corner. You can go and you can get your milk, you can get your groceries, you can get your washing powder and whatever. You are looking to buy bigger product, fridge, washing machine, laptop, go to Tesco Superstore. They are less and they are on a distance location. So maybe within a 10-kilometer radius, just give an example, you may have one superstore and maybe you would have 20 corner shops, right? Hope you're getting the idea. So if I'm looking to buy just bottle of milk, I may not want to travel 10 minutes or may not want to move to 10 kilometers. So for that kind of situation, we offer something called edge location, or we call them point of presence. And if you see this, these dots are representing point of presence. And as of now, we have 300 plus locations. From there, we serve content faster. So we would be able to send data faster to the customer. So let's take an example here. Let's say my application is here hosted into US. I have a customer here into Australia. Now, if edge locations are not there, what is going to happen? My request will be going further to this location and then my content will be delivered from there. And this is all happening over internet. What these locations are doing, these all locations of Amazon are connected with each other, and that is ensuring that we can provide better connectivity and better performance. So these all locations of Amazon is connected on our global network. So when my request comes from user, the response is given from the nearby edge location from it. So that's what we mean by point of presence. And in connecting all these, what we have our network. Let me go back to that slide so that you can relate to what I'm saying. Give me one more minute. I'm bringing up that slide back to you. See this. So these small lines which you are seeing here, these lines is Amazon's own network. So we have laid out network connecting all over the world location and giving you the best performance. So that would ensure that whenever a request comes, let's say from Asia Pacific, my application may be hosted here, but what we can do, we can cache your data near to your users and we can then deliver data from there. So that is the main advantage of using edge location. So edge location is where some services are available and you can use them for improving performance or sometime to improve security or sometime to do local data processing. So that's what we do. Not all services are available. We have only few services like global resources like Route 53, CloudFront, Lambda, AWS Shield. These services are available there. Right. So that's what we mean by it. So is this same as CDN? Yes. So Sanjay, what happens here that in these point of presence, we run CDN and our CDN service is CloudFront, or we run our DNS service from there, that is called Route 53. So this is one location and this location may be serving multiple type of services. Some of them I highlighted here like Lambda, AWS Shield, CloudFront, Route 53. So they run from edge location. And if you go a little further, you would find that these locations are into the cities where we have a lot of population living. Let's say if I give an example of India. So in India, you would find that edge locations are in the place where we have lot and lot of population living. Let me go back to that, and you would find that. So cities like Chennai, cities like Delhi, city like Mumbai, that is where we have services running, and that would give our customer much better performance. So all these edge locations are mostly on the cities where lot of population is living, so that we can reach out to them much faster and deliver performance to them. Like here, if you see, probably we are looking for cities like here, this should be Sydney, this should be Perth, this should be Melbourne, and similarly in India also you would find the cities where we have lot of population living and we run our services from there. So that is the main idea of running a edge location. So three things you should be remembering from global infrastructure. First, region. Second, region is made up of availability zone. And third is the edge location. And to connect all of these, what we have our global network. So all these services are connected to each other by the networking, which is maintained or owned or operated by AWS. And that helps us to keep our services as running smoothly as possible and not have any problem with disruption. Because in regular internet, what happens, your traffic can go from multiple internet service provider and then reach to your destination. Here you don't have to worry about all the stuff. So that's what we achieve from this location. Everyone okay so far? Hopefully you are getting your questions answered. So what we can do now, we are at around 9:57. It's a good to take a short 10-minute break. And once we return, we can then move forward with the more important stuff. We will talk more on how these services work together. So 10 minutes and we will get started again. What I'll do, I'll put a timer on the screen so everyone knows when to return back. And once you are returning, then we will get started again. So enjoy your time. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? And if you are back, type in chat what you prefer. When you have to read, do you prefer digital books or paper books? What do you prefer? What is your interest when you read? Do you prefer digital books or do you prefer Kindle? Paper books? Yeah, paper book is always favorite, isn't it? Like I prefer paper books too because I can carry it easily and I don't get distracted. Otherwise, what happens that when you have Kindle and you have 100 books in that, then you get distracted. But Kindle has its own advantage, right? Isn't it? Like you can read it anytime. You do not need to have light. Maybe you can carry multiple books with you. That's good. So yeah, everything has its own plus and minuses, and hopefully everyone understands what is happening here. All right, so it was just to make interaction possible. Let's get started and discuss more on the content we were discussing. So before we went, we discussed about what region is, what availability zone is, and we will discuss in a minute that how to select where to keep my data, when not to use region, where is all the things. So let's talk more on that. Let's get started with what is my region selection criteria, right? So let's say I want to host some application, and if I want to host an application, I would be needing some place to store that's data, it's a architecture patterns, it's a content, it's a code. So I need to select a region. So first criteria for region selection you should be considering that is compliance. Lots of time there is a legal requirement from the countries where you are operating that you should keep your data within that country. So you should always be thinking about compliances first. Like if I share a very recent example, I'm sure some of you know about that, but let me quickly bring it up. There was some issue recently with MasterCard in India. Probably somebody followed it. What was happening? MasterCard was allowed to do business, but then they were asked to store data within India for all the transaction happening in India. And if they didn't follow that, then there was a problem. So yes, exactly, Subhash, like bank strict compliances. So MasterCard India stops payment service provider from issue card. Why? Because they were not storing data within India, and they are now building infrastructure to host their application and host their data within India. So compliance requirement are always going to be like in Europe, we have GDPR requirement that data, if you correct exactly, Debashi, so GDPR, so if you are collecting data from individuals within Europe, you can't host it or process it outside of Europe. So that is a very basic requirement. Exactly. So anytime you decide something, you have to keep in mind that what location is legally allowed to host your data. Now, AWS will ensure, so if you said that, hey, I am going to use, give me a minute, please. One more minute, please. Yeah, so I'll come back here. So if we decided that we are going to host our data into a particular place, we won't be budging from it. Like if you say, I want to store my data in Ireland, AWS will never move your data away from Ireland. It would always be in Ireland. So that's all would be Ireland only, nothing beyond it. So we won't be going beyond what you have planned for. So that is a requirement that we would always keep your data within the designated location you selected. So when you want to host your application, make sure you have the location where you want to keep it. So that is a very basic requirement you have. Second requirement you could be thinking of, give me a minute, please. Yeah. Second thing you should think of is about the latency. What we mean by latency, let me explain that. Now, one more minute, please. My computer is acting a little weird here. Nope. Give me a minute, please. I'll restart my presentation. Just give me one more minute, please. I have to close one application and start again. Okay, sorry for that. I'm still struggling. Okay. Second thing you have to consider is proximity. Is this Intel and or Graviton? So Vash, I get your point. I get your point. It's Intel. Nice joke. So second thing you have to consider is proximity. Proximity in the sense that obviously I don't want to keep my data very far from my customer, otherwise they won't get performance. So I want to keep, if I want to serve European customer, better would be that I keep my data within Europe. So that is the second consideration you should keep in mind whenever you are hosting your application. So where to keep your data, that would obviously be dictating what location you have to keep. So proximity is very important. And now you can check this proximity. I'll quickly show you one tool where you can find out information about it, that how much time and delay you would have from your own location. So that is called your uh, come on, cloudping.info. So cloudping.info will help you to do a ping to different AWS location and give you that what your latency is looking like. Like if you see here, I'm based in London, and that's why my latency to London region, which is called EU West 2, is 15 millisecond. But if I host my customer data who live in London in maybe AP Southeast Sydney or in Tokyo or in Beijing, there would be delay. There would be some performance problems which I may face. So I have to also ensure that I am keeping my customer data in compliant region and as near to them as possible so that we can get better performance for that. So obviously Murphy's law, physical distance. So yes, exactly, safe. So yeah, Murphy law applied here also. But yeah, I had some issue. Now it hopefully fixed. So yes, proximity is required. Third thing you would consider would be that whether that service is available there or not. Sorry, cost. See, cost is different. Do we also keep maximum user base while choosing region? Vijay, it doesn't work like that. You say what you need and AWS will provide you. That's all. You do not worry about how many number of users. So you design your application obviously for scalability, but you do not base your decision based on how much bandwidth AWS has. You say what you need, and we may be able to give you. We will talk about that in a minute, right? So what is happening here? It is that was a HTTP ping, not a ICMP and TCP. It was a HTTP endpoint which we pinged using the cloudping.info. Third thing is cost. Obviously, cost is different. Why cost is different? Think about it. Rental cost in London would be different than Belgium. It would be different in Sydney. It would be different in Tokyo. Electricity would be different. Cost of manpower would be different. Taxation would be different. And that's why the cost is different in different places for the same services. So you can check that and say, we would be keeping our services in EU, Europe, because my customers are there, but I would keep backups into some other place because the price is cheaper there. So yes, price makes a difference, and you can check that even before you start using it, using something called AWS simple monthly calculator. So there is a tool by which you should be able to predict the prices for your application. So let me go ahead and start using something called simple monthly calculator. Give me a minute. I'll open it. So here page, and you should be able to get to the pricing page. So we are now going to Amazon Web Services simple monthly calculator. Open to anyone. Anyone can get started with it, and we will share link into the resources section today. So let's take some simple example. I want to store data in a service in Amazon which is called Amazon S3, simple storage service. So my requirement is that I want to store my data into a S3 service, and I have selected here currently North Virginia as my region. Let me store S3 data. So this is your North Virginia region, and I'm trying to store data into S3, and we will see how much money I have to pay for storing data into S3. Give it a few seconds. It is loading, and see this. So I have S3 standard, and let's say I keep 10,000 GB data. This number I have put here, 10,000 GB, and it will tell me the cost. See this, 10,000 GB, my cost is going to be 289.13. It is using EC2 also. Let me reset everything. So let's just calculate only, we can talk about only S3, right? So let's focus on that. Let's reset. There's nothing now, no cost, as you can see, zero. And now I'm selecting S3 and let's store 10,000 GB data there. So for this 10,000 GB data, my cost is coming out to be 229.88. Let me note it down, and I would note it down for North Virginia. Or let's do one thing here in the console itself. I can go to multiple region. Now, I want to store the same 10,000 GB data also in a different region. So let me select it, a different region here. Let's say I am going to store this data into, these are all US region. Let's select Cape Town. So I want to store that data into somewhere into Cape Town. Give me a minute. Let me select that. So let's say Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is 10,000 GB data again. I am going to store there, right? So what would happen now? My number would be changing. So I have 10,000 GB data into Sao Paulo now. And if you see here, my number has changed. This is 634. I'll come back to that in a minute. Let me add one more, one location I would add from Asia, and then we can come back to Europe or some other places. So let's say now in Asia Pacific, I selected Mumbai and I am storing 10,000 GB data there too. So what is going to happen now? Let's compare the prices of storing data into three location. I can go back here and I would see the difference of pricing. See this. Same 10,000 GB data into North Virginia will cost me $230. In Mumbai region, it would cost me $250 per month, and we will be able to have Sao Paulo store the same data but with $405. You can clearly see there is a pricing difference. Why the pricing difference? Because as I said, manpower cost is different, your real estate cost is different, taxation is different, electricity, internet cost is different. So that's why you may want to keep price also in your mind. So you can say, hey, I would keep my production into Europe because my customers are there, but all the backup or development and QA I would keep into some other places so that I would be able to save lot of money. So that is purely up to you how you want to decide. And it's not locked in. Today you are storing data into region 1. Later you can decide I want to move away from region 1 to region 2. Copy your data, delete from region 1, no problem at all. Pretty flexible infrastructure, and you can get started anywhere you want, no problem at all on that. So hopefully you are having a little better idea that what dictates when to store it. Seems North Virginia is cheaper. Yes, exactly. It is always included. Is this cost include taxes? Yes, it include taxes. It include taxes. That's what my guess is, but I'm not a finance person, so need to check. But I guess this cost include taxes, probably. Not 100% sure. Need to check that Reddish. Right now, one more question. I can clearly see that cost in North Virginia is cheaper. Can anyone tell me why the cost in North Virginia is cheaper? Let me go to AWS Global Infrastructure again and see why there is a cost cheaper or not. We can come back and share the unique URL generated. Yes, not from this. There is another calculator I'll talk about later. From there, you should be able to get the URL and share your estimate. That is called estimation, AWS calculator for estimation. This one is just the old one, but still better. Might be electricity is cheaper. Let me explain that. Let me give you an example on that. So we can clearly see that this is the all the places, and North Virginia is somewhere here. This is North Virginia. See this. And if you read, it says it has availability zone 6, which is the highest in AWS infrastructure. If you check in other places, let's say I pick up something in Cape Town. Cape Town says availability zones 3. If I pick up Sao Paulo, Sao Paulo says availability zone 3. So what is happening here, that the most resources we have is in North Virginia. So it is supply and demand based pricing. If you have a lot of supply of resources available, that would mean there are a lot of price cut which you could expect. So North Virginia is what you would most of the time find is most cheap in terms of capacity, in terms of compute, whatever you are looking for. So North Virginia is always a cheap option to keep your data. So maybe host your application somewhere where your customers are and take backup into North Virginia, provided there is a legal problems are not there. You may use any region if you want to. Now there are some exception in this. One exception we have here is Ninjingxia, which is in China. So China has some policies that not everyone can get started with China region right now. You need to get approval to get started. So Beijing and Ningxia, which are in China, you can't directly use, and same applies to something called GovCloud. So in government cloud, which is hosted in US only for US government entity, you and I cannot directly host our application there. So we need to have some licensing, we need to have some approval before I can get started with that. So let me quickly show you that if I go to my service console, which is I am logging into aws.amazon.com, all the regions would be listed for me, but not government cloud and not China, because I have not signed up for them. I have not got approval for that. So what I'm doing right now, I'm signing into AWS console, and I'll quickly show you how this region table looks like. Don't worry if you do not get all the idea about this. We will discuss this in detail. We will talk more on how all these things work. Let me just get started by logging into AWS console. We will talk more on this AWS console as we move forward into the training. Right. So here is what my AWS management console is coming up. This is a graphical interface by which you are able to run your application and manage your services. Right. So what is happening here? If you see, this is Ireland, and here I can see all the regions: North Virginia, Ohio, Cape Town, Hong Kong, and all the stuff. But I do not see China and Ningxia. I do not see Beijing, I do not see GovCloud, because I am not allowed to have resources there. Right now, I am not approved. My account is not approved for it. So you need to get spatial approval before you could host something into China. Right. Now, coming back to my question, that why North Virginia has this many resources. So if we already saw that in North Virginia, we have 6 availability zone, and we have a lot of resources available. And obviously you will find they are much, much cheaper when you run. Why not? Why? Because we have a specific reason there. Let me explain. Why Amazon made so much capacity available in North Virginia? Anyone? Let me explain. AWS first started there, Gautam. Yes, but why? So I agree that we started there, but what was the reason for that? Let me explain that reason, technical reason behind it. If you see this map, which I am displaying right now, this map is our transatlantic cable. This is the physical cable, under the sea cable, in which internet traffic flows. So if you look at this map, you can clearly see that most of these cables which are coming up, they are meeting at this point. So if I host my application here, then I have better connectivity to US. I have better connectivity to Europe also. So this becomes like a central hub. So not only AWS, you would find lots of companies are keeping this thing in that. So this is a transatlantic map, where is basically all the submarine cables all over the world connecting, and some of them are maybe maintained and owned by AWS. And that's how we have started using our services in North Virginia to give the best possible performance to our European customers as well as to our US customers. So that is the technical reason for keeping that data there, right? All right, good, interesting, isn't it? Okay, last thing which you may should be considering for region is service availability. That whether that service is available in that region or not. We want to make sure that we try to keep services all the places, but there would be some services which are available only that specific region. So that can also be a factor I should consider when I host my services. Let me give you a quick example. So I'm going to management console, and let's say I select a service called config. Just giving an example, so don't worry if you do not understand config, that's completely fine. So I'm coming here and I am selecting config as a service, and what I would find here that config is available in all the regions. So this is my config service, and if I go back and check a dashboard, I would be able to see that config can be enabled in any place I want. Here if you see, all the regions are available, right? But let me go to another service, let's say called connect. We have a service called Amazon Connect. Let me go to that service called Amazon Connect, and we will see if this service is available on all the places or not. So we can see that, right? So let it come. It's little slower today. I don't know why. I'm doing streaming in the full 1920 setting. Probably in the next time I would have little lower resolution, so I would have a better performance from my laptop. So I'm having a service now called Amazon Connect. Let's see what happens when I select this particular service. We will clearly see it will tell me that this service is not available in all the location, and that's why my region is unsupported. So see this. So not all services may be available in all the places. So make that also into consideration that where to host your service. And we host a table called AWS Regions table, and there we put a list of what services are available and where you can find individual services. So make sure you also consider this before you start hosting your customers or your own workload. So we have a region list and we talk about all the services there. So go ahead and check that. There is a region table, and in this table we maintain a list of services which are available in a particular region. So that is a very interesting thing to keep in mind. Only then you would be able to use it. So here you can select which region you are looking for, and you can select whether that service is available or not. So to summarizing it, these are the four factors you should consider: compliance, proximity, cost, and service availability. So hopefully everyone has now a better understanding on what a global infrastructure is made up of. Right. So we covered around 10:30. It's a good time now to jump into ask some question to solution architect. Hopefully you have learned something new and understood things a little bit better. So I'll stop technical concepts here, and then we will go into a quick question and answer session with Alex and Chris. And I will ask question on your behalf for now, but you can then send us question later, and probably in next session we would be able to answer those questions also, right? So I will act dumb like I do not know anything, and then I'll let Alex and Chris decide and give answer to us, and hopefully that would be a good communication for you and you would learn from that. So give me a minute. I'll bring Chris and Alex on the screen. Right. Okay. So Chris, maybe you have to start with your camera. I can see it. You starting it now. Give me a minute, and I'll bring everyone here. 1 minute. Sorry, Alex, I clicked wrong button. I'm adding you to stream now, and Chris, I'm adding you to stream now. All right, welcome. Thank you. How are you doing? Answering a lot of questions, Alex and Chris.
Yeah, sure. So
Good, nice.
it was great actually to engage with so many people. I never typed so much and so fast.
Exactly. Good experience for us.
Yeah, but we had questions, and also thank you everyone for making this engaging. It's very cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Nice, good. So Chris and Alex, can you please introduce yourself, and then I'll talk more on the question side. If you could start, Alex, and then Chris.
Right. Yeah. Sure. So I'm Alex. I'm based out in Germany. So I'm worked as solutions architect at AWS. Had a career, in different companies, also in some big tech companies and in local companies here in Germany, and originally kind of coming from full stack development background. But we're gonna come back to it. What kind of backgrounds suit best, or like what kind of backgrounds work to get into the career of solutions architect. To do that, probably I get over to Chris.
Good, thank you.
Thanks.
Chris, let me put you on stage. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. I'm Christophe, I'm a solution architect at Amazon Web Services. I joined the company about 11 months ago. And before AWS, to be honest, I did not have any cloud computing knowledge. I came from a role where I was solution engineer at Dell and at VMware. So I focused a lot on on-premises stuff, nothing to do with the cloud. So the reason why I'm saying this is because, like maybe many of you who are attending today, you just want, to see how to get started, what are the basics, and honestly, you've chosen a really good place to start. Becoming a solution architect doesn't mean that you have to have all of the computing knowledge, storage knowledge, networking knowledge. It's a journey, and everybody can make it. And I mean, hopefully, we helped you to get there. I think the session from Ashish today was amazing, but yeah, you don't have to be, a guru, to get started or to become a solution architect. So thanks for joining.
Nice, that's good. Thank you. Now, I'll ask some very basic questions so that everyone get understanding on what cloud architects are, and I would host those questions here into chat also. So I would put it a banner so you can see that what it is. Now, common question which we get is that who is a solution architect? I will ask you, Alex and Chris, in a minute, but let me give you my version of what I call solution architect. What I call a solution architect, someone who can answer almost all question with it depends. When you talk to a solution architect, he or she would always say that, hey, should I use X or Y service, or should I use A reason or B reason? They would always say it depends. And yes, exactly, it depends, because you can't just black and white answer a question. You have to think a lot about what the motivation for the customer is, what they are looking for, what they want to get out of it, what kind of limitation they are working with. So I would say lots of time when I get a question like, hey, Ashish, what I should do in that case, I respond, it depends. That's my version of answering. But let's hear it from Alex. That Alex, please walk us through like how you define who is a solution architect.
That's a great question, Ashish, really. So, first of all, solutions architects wear different hats, and especially like if you compare one company to another, it might be, people understand a little bit different things when it comes to solutions architecture and solutions architect. So here at AWS, solutions architects are responsible for taking care of customers. So you kind of get customer or customers, and you kind of have like relationship with them, and you really try to understand in depth what their technical problems. And with that, you can then guide them through their cloud journey. You can really find where their inefficiencies are, and you can then provide solutions, hence the name, right? So you can provide solutions for them to implement to tackle those inefficiencies, for example. Yeah, so that's kind of my take on it. So that's a technical role, but it involves a lot of interpersonal skills. You need to talk a lot to different people and to understand their problems. And sometimes those problems might not be clearly articulated because people might be like inside their own bubble, and they might have never seen like how things could be different. So as a solutions architect, you're the one to connect the dots for different specialists within different sort of companies.
Yeah, makes sense. It's interesting to see that how your view is of what you do on that. So now, Alex, and I have another question for you. And like, what is your day-to-day work looking like? Like, what you do on day-to-day basis? What keeps you busy? Like, if I talk about, hey, I do X, Y, Z every day, what will be those activities which you perform?
Right. Yeah, that's not a great question. So the fact that we need to wear different hats, and sometimes to go deep inside like technical things, sometimes just go and help out teams, just kind of providing knowledge workshops and learning sessions, and sometimes maybe just kind of listen to the problems and try to understand what the real problem is. One day might be very different from another. Sometimes at AWS, solutions architects are encouraged to go and actually just kind of give back to the community. So it's a voluntary thing, but it's very encouraged to do. So yeah, like one normal day might be that you just go and you engage with your customer, with their development team, for example, with their networking team, and you do like sort of workshop for the whole day. You go inside one or another technical field. You have like hands-on labs maybe with them. You help them out to understand different concepts better. Then on the other day, it might be that you engage with an entity which plans to do like a new project, for example, and that project, well, it's kind of new for them, and they really need traction to understand how they can move things forward. So that's going to be like a different type of engagement. There you might need to provide like design diagrams. You need to kind of put their business requirements into, more like technical, tangible requirements. And also, as an architect, you might need also to understand how much resources will they need to, to kind of go and implement that thing in the end.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you are always busy doing something, isn't it? Like, so do you design architectures also, or you just implement it, or is there a difference between who implements and who designs?
That's a great question, and there is a difference who implements and who designs the architecture. Yes, so solutions architects normally stay very early in the sort of a path of an entity, of a company, of a project towards implementation or towards like production rollout. And solutions architects shape, of course, the initial architecture and see how it can be then easily implemented by the company. Then it depends. Ashish, you were certainly right. It depends. It's like a favorite phrase. I was trying to kind of not to not push on this stereotype, but yeah, here it is. So it depends how much the company has resources, for example, internal, and how much knowledge. Will they be able to pull this off on their own, or maybe they will need some, support, be it AWS or be it like maybe some other internal resources in other companies, like I know Dell maybe, and maybe some other companies who, also have similar positions. They might also kind of go and help to actually implement the solution to the customer. So yeah, it really depends in the end.
Depends, exactly. Thank you. Thanks. So thanks, Alex. And now my next question is for Chris. So Chris, I want to know, like, we hear a lot, like there are different type of solution architect. There are some partner essays, there are some specialist essays in AWS. So what is that? How you differentiate between how a different solution architect would be from one from solution perspective, another from design. So how is the difference?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I understand that it can be confusing. I would say, so first of all, you have the core solution architects. So the core solutions architect are, for example, what I do, what Alex is doing. So we are generalist solutions architects, and we cover as many AWS services as possible. Now, if you look at all of the AWS services, there are more than 200. Can we know 200 services, more than 200 services? It's impossible. So this is where we try to at least understand the core services at AWS. There are 50, something around 50 core services at AWS. We try to know those at a 200 level. So 200 level means that we can talk technically about those, but we don't necessarily need to be hands-on on those services. And then, of course, we develop a like for some services. I like IoT, for example. So I like getting hands-on on IoT, and it's a plus. Some people prefer machine learning, for example. They get hands-on on machine learning. It's always a plus. But the thing is, we cannot be hands-on on all of the services. So this is where we have another type of solutions architect, which is a specialist solution architect. And the specialists here, they are like really, really good in one specialty. So machine learning, for example, or analytics, for example, or storage or backup. They're very, very good expert in that. They can be hands-on and they can go as low as 400 level. 400, basically, it means that they can also troubleshoot a customer environment or a very complex issue. So these are the specialists. Now, the other type of solution architects are the partner solutions architects. So the partners, basically, they work with systems integrators. So they work with like Atos, Capgemini, Deloitte, and they basically help those partners to sell solutions, or to sell, maybe sell is not the correct word, to design, to conceptualize solutions for an end customer. Okay, so it's a kind of joint approach between AWS and between a system integrator, and they basically put a solution together for an end user. Okay. And the reason why we work for partners as well is because they might add extra services that we don't provide at AWS. So we need their expertise, and also there's some kind of discounts as well that customers get working with partners. So financially, it's better in some occasions. But that's the partner solution architect. And the last solution architect that I want to cover is the cloud solution architect. And the name doesn't help, but that's how we call it at AWS. And those are solutions architects that work on the professional services side. Alex mentioned that we don't implement architectures on customers' environments because it's, we are free resources. But professional services, they do, because they get paid for that. And here you find types of solutions architect that actually do the implementation. They have the right to implement on the customer environment. We don't.
Yeah, get your point. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, means there are so many aspects of just being a solution architect and being specialist or partner is so makes sense. Exactly. Now my next question would be to anyone who wants to pick up Alex or Chris. So my question is what are the top three technical skills you think somebody should have to become a solution architect? Top three technical skills.
Yeah, I can start that one. So
Good.
top three, and I think this is absolutely mandatory for any solution architect role, is to know computing. What's computing? The applications that's power or TikTok or or whatever you're using. And I'm not saying TikTok is on AWS, by the way, but any application, it needs computing to run, right? It needs some computing power. So you need to understand, the compute layer, like the servers that basically power those applications. Now, it's great to have those servers and so on, but those applications generate data, and you need to put that data somewhere. So you need to understand storage as well. So storage is the second technical skill to have. At least you really have to understand that part. Not to deep dive, but at least understand how an application running on a server will actually push data onto storage, so you can always access the data in the future. And finally, networking. You have those applications, those services that talk to each other, servers talk with the storage. There's networking in between. So you really need to understand as well the networking aspect. You don't have to be a CCNA person, which is one of the Cisco foundational networking certification, but at least you understand the fact that there is communication between servers and storage, and that reflects a lot in how you're going to design an overall architecture. You really need to understand the latency, what's latency, those sort of things. So yeah, compute, networking, and storage. And if you're getting started in one of these three areas, really look for the videos on YouTube, for example, on how, getting started with storage 101, networking 101, and get the basics.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So these three things are like what foundation, and whatever you are building, you can't stray away from storage, networking, and compute. Exactly. That's true. So that is technical skills, Chris, right? But now I completely understand it is not always technology. We have a lot of behavioral thing also. Like people need to have some interpersonal skills. Sometimes we call it behavioral skill. So my next question is that what are the top three behavioral skills a solution architect should have? Like what differentiate a good solution architect and an average solution architect in terms of behavioral skills?
Yeah, I would say that, but that's very subject to every individual. But from my experience from AWS and also from previous organizations where I've been a solution engineer, it's really to have the capability to listen and to be an
Listen.
active listener. Because the more we gain experience in this role, the more we get exposed to situations we've seen 50, hundreds of times, and we think we know. But that's so wrong. And I fight against that every day, where I really force myself to listen and try to not jump to a conclusion because it's too easy. And as Ashish said before, it depends. Every customer is different. So being an active listener and really let the customer talk, and not, because sometimes the customers will try to basically say, hey, we don't know, you guys are the expert. Tell me what's the solution. What do we have to do? And it's too easy to jump to a conclusion. So being an active listener and then ask the right questions and let the customer speak, because the moment they start speaking and they see they have the room to speak, that's from experience I'm saying, they will start opening up on everything. And, they start talking about one project, and then they start talking about another project. The moment they start speaking, it's just amazing. You get to know so much about their business challenges and so on. So number one, active listening. The second one, I'm not sure how to describe that as a skill, but it's to basically make the connection between the technical challenge you're trying to solve with how is that going to turn it into a business outcome for the company they work for. Because ultimately, those applications they're building, those architectures that we have to put together, it has to turn into revenue or support revenue generation for the business. And I would say keep that in mind. It's a bit hard because we're techie people. We want to know the details of the technical stuff. We want to get excited by the technology and so on. And it's easy to get disconnected from the business outcome. So I don't know how to turn that into a strength, or how to call that into a strength, but keep a focus on the business outcomes. And number three, in terms of behavior, I would say, I don't know. I think the two I've mentioned here are super important. Alex, maybe you have one in mind. But
Yeah,
to me,
sure. Yeah,
go.
like interpersonal skills. You really need to kind of understand that if you're talking to a company is not a monolithical thing. Companies are built around people, and there are a lot of them, and those people might have different motivations. So if a company even declares that our goal is to go to cloud, our goal is to build this particular application, and then on one level you might see that people really kind of go in one direction. On the other level, if you go to the development team, you might see folks which may be against, which may be even, well, I wouldn't say like sabotaging it, but, like really not super motivated or super engaged by this idea. And they might have their own reasons. Maybe they lack resources. Maybe they have maybe they're a little bit scared of, something new which they never tried before. And then as an SA, you need to kind of have this. It kind of relates to what Chris said. This active listening skill. You need to kind of understand that all of them might have different reasons, and you need to address those reasons and see how you can help them individually.
Makes sense. Yeah, interesting thoughts. Yeah, so that's something I think most of the people have this question like what they should do to get started. And very common question which I get on my LinkedIn profile is about, hey, do I need to know programming to become a solution architect? So what is your take? Anyone?
Oh yeah, that's great. That's great. I will take it. That's my favorite
Yeah, go
one.
ahead.
You don't need to know programming. It's not required. Nobody grills you on, algorithm design when you're applying for solutions architects, at least at AWS. But it's a very handy skill to have, because it comes sometimes to the point when you need also to deliver a POC, like proof of concept, a proof of concept or a prototype to your customer. It comes when a customer is not sure what you're really talking about, or not sure if the technology is actually capable to deliver what you're talking about. And then the easiest way to demonstrate how it works is just to design sort of application or something and show how it works. There are ways actually to do things even without programming, but if you know one or another programming language, it's definitely easier, to put some lambdas around some other services, to have some automation and maybe have a little front end in front of this whole back end, not to drag your customers through the whole AWS console experience, especially if it's a business person you're talking to. AWS Management Console might be maybe a little bit less relevant for them to understand because they will never use it. It's more like for technical people. Yeah, so it definitely doesn't hurt. It definitely will help you to solve different technical questions. But if you're coming from network background, for example, it's totally fine. You will have your niche, and those skills are also very important. And it's just that every one of us have a little bit different skill set, and kind of it's all good. So if you know programming, it's good. If you don't know programming but willing to learn it, do it. It will help you. If you don't care about programming, you don't see yourself writing code for some good reason, but you have different skill sets, like for example, you're super strong in networking or security, be it. It's all fine.
Nice, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. And now I have one more question related to roles, because there are multiple public facing roles which we get, right? So there are some roles which is called professional services, there are some technical account manager and solution architect. So how the role is different for these three personas?
Right, I can start untangling this one, and then Chris, if you have something to add or subtract from my explanation, please do so. So, as a solutions architect, you're not alone. There are some different roles around you, and just think about it that you are like a larger team trying to help a customer in the end. As a solutions architect, you're kind of a front runner for new projects, for new initiatives, for like migrations, greenfield projects, modernizations, you name it. Then, as Chris already said, solutions architects, at least at AWS, they don't really implement the code. So the most of the implementation you're gonna get is to design a prototype and hand it over. Then if customer needs support from AWS to actually implement it, customer needs to be connected to professional services. Professional services have their own architects. Those architects are called differently. They are application architects, cloud architects, and so on and so on. Those guys will really do hands-on part. They really kind of go and put the solution together, and then TAMs are this stands for Technical Account Manager, and those guys at AWS, they are focused on customer in terms of operations. So they're kind of on the support side of things, on operations. If something breaks, they are the ones staying there in front of the customer, helping them to overcome the problem. If there's like a support issue that customer really needs to escalate, they are the ones kind of pushing it through, internals of AWS towards the resolution faster. So SA is going to be like maybe connecting those dots and then helping out with more like planning stuff, and then TAM is going to be like on the operational sort of part where systems already kind of running or maybe breaking and then need to be brought back on track.
Makes sense. Chris, you have something to add on this?
No, I think it's very well summarized. Mostly solutions architects, we come before a solution is purchased by a customer, and then professional services, they're more of a paid engagement to put a solution in production. So we don't interact much there. We interact much more for the discovery phase, what the customer tries to achieve and so on. Once the picture is already clear and the customer wants to implement, then professional services take over. There's two questions that are on the chat. Ashish, I don't know if I can quickly cover those.
Go ahead.
I think one was about if we use like cloud formation or if we can use like Terraform instead. We're not picky on what customers use, to be honest. For example, the customer that I look after, they are heavy on Terraform. And I can't really change that. They use whatever they want, really. It's compatible, it works, so yeah. And the other question, how does a solution architect differ from a pre-sales architect? So I used to be called a pre-sales at VMware, and I'm a solution architect at Amazon Services. It's the same role. It's just that some companies have different names.
Yeah, it's a different name, but actually idea is to like help customer in understanding what the problem is, understand their problem and design a solution around it. So yeah, thank you. Good. So we are nearing to end, and I try to ask question as much as we can. Obviously we can't accommodate everyone here, sorry for that, but please send your question to us If you want very specific questions to be answered in the next session, we would be happy to take it. If it is very generic and if it helps a lot of people, we would be happy to take it. So what I want to cover last year is, thanks Chris and Alex, and I'll quickly summarize what we discussed yesterday, and I'll show you some more resources which you guys can take help of, right? So hopefully everyone is clear on what and how the sessions would be running on. And what we will be doing, we would be publishing the resources link. Now, in these resources, there would be some activity for reading something, and some activity would be to watch some YouTube video. So on the BeSA website, we would make this things maybe probably by tomorrow or maybe by today, depends on how much time we get today to finish this thing, and that would help you to get things. Now I plan to cover S3 storage service also, but we could not cover it, that's fine. So the link which we would be sharing will be like this. So there would be something to watch, like there is a keynote. I would recommend maybe watch first 10 minutes of it at least. Then how the foundation of global infrastructure is. Don't worry about it is very old, but it is very relevant video and you would enjoy a lot that how we utilize these services. Then I would skip these two, because we haven't discussed about S3. And then I would put a link for article like brief history of AWS, and then maybe I would give you some summary card, but we will talk about S3 and other services in the next section. And then how to then deep dive, if you want to go for, then there is something called data center virtual tour. Then there is a network overview, that how global network is built on. So these are some additional resources we would be sending it. And the link which I showed you, like global infrastructure simply monthly calculator, how to check proximity, service health, we would be pushing this also on our resources page. So look out for that resource page. Probably in a day's time we would make it active, and you should have access to that content. And in between, if you want to share about this session on LinkedIn, you like something, you have learned something new, there was a screenshot you took, or you will watch YouTube video and from there you find something useful, feel free to share so that everyone gets benefited. Now we had 1,000 plus registration, 1,600, 1,700, and you can see only 170 people live here. So I appreciate that you are taking time and efforts to join. It's easy to register for a session, but it is hard to be there on Saturday and learn and be active on it. So we appreciate that, and hopefully you learned something new. Reach out to us if you have any follow-up question, and we would be then meeting next Saturday, and we will have S3 and we'll talk about more interesting stuff. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much. Video would be posted on YouTube in some hours time, so check that channel. You would be able to see and revisit it. If you were some unclear on something, go through that video again and reach out. We would be happy to help. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Bye. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.